So normally when you design something in service design or whatever, there's usually this like as is versus to be, models, right? So you're going to do a customer journey and you're like, okay, this is the journey right now. This is going to be the journey later on. Has that ever applied to the Octalysis framework? Like for me, sometimes when I'm designing with a team or whatever, if it's something new, it makes no sense. You just design what you want. But if there's something right now you have to like diagnose, and I'm not sure if I have to first like do on as is Octalysis, like what's going on right now and how do we want this to be, or just go straight out to, okay, whatever it is right now, we want this, right? So am I doing like something I'm wasting time on if I do an as is?
Yeah, so this is a good question, and as a standard answer, which is it is important to analyze what's there right now, and we do that in a few different ways. So I tell people there's the short form of Octalysis, which is just saying, all right, you go around the octagon and say what among the 8 quarters of. I mean, the Octalysis tool itself, this tool itself feels actually more like an analysis, because whenever you can move this, like if you remember one of the big applications changing the shapes, that's oftentimes the analysis. So we can say like, okay, for this current project, what does it have for CD1, right? It's like no CD1. Oh yeah. By the way, this is a relatively new project that has still some UI improvements for sure. That you can see some of the decisions are very engineer driven. But anyway, so no CD1, right? So you can do that, and you can switch to 0, and then it's like some progress bar. Yeah. So this tool for a lot of people's usage is just to analyze what's there right now. So some progress bar, and then so you can see that, oh, my project is really not that great. You can look at plans like, oh, well, we plan to do this, which will probably be more CD5 and CD8, but then not a lot of black hats. So this helps the analysis. And then the second use case is brainstorming. All right, this is what it is right now, and we see we lack a lot of CD1 and 3. So how do we brainstorm new ideas to use CD1 and CD3? So like I said, the shorthand of using Octalysis, because we have their 5-step process that takes a while, a lot of work. You guys who've done the certificate know that. The shorthand is literally you look at a problem and you say, all right, what are the desired actions? Who are we targeting? What are the desired actions? Or just what are the desired actions? And just go through this analysis. Like, okay, what among the 8 core drives motivate that desired actions? And remember, if there's 0 of all of these, there's no behavior, no motivation, just nothing happens. And once you figure that out, then the second step is figure out how do we add the right core drives. And this is when you also have analysis of maybe it should be more white hat, maybe it should be more black hat, intrinsic, extrinsic. The other thing is back to the process itself. Let me see, what is a file I should pull out? Usually I rely on my big workshop file that has all the slides. So when we look at the strategy dashboard, the problem is this loads, it takes a while to load. If we look at the strategy dashboard, which I can load that first, that's also the mechanism to see what is there right now. Business metric is not just what the goal is. The players kind of is analysis of what's right now desired, but mostly it's about feedback mechanics and rewards. So we like to see, all right, currently, first of all, what are the feedback vehicles, right? Is it a mobile app? Is it a website? What are all the potential reaching factors? And one thing I remind people is this is important to list out, because sometimes there are things you don't consider a feedback vehicle, but it is a way to interact with your customers, like customer support phone calls, right? Most people just see it as a way to solve some problems and that's it. And they don't think about it as a feedback vehicle. But if you consider a feedback vehicle, that means feedback vehicles should have feedback mechanics and it should have triggers. So what they can then design is that every time the customer service rep solve the problem, they'll say, oh, I also noticed that you're 70% into getting this unique achievement. I'm not, do you have any questions about it? Do you want any tips about how to get there, right? And so now suddenly a customer service call is, first the feedback mechanics saying you're 70% there, and then about triggers, like, is there anything we can help you to do the desired actions, right? So once you consider that feedback vehicle, then you can start designing. Oh, we never thought about our newsletter or our Facebook group as part of the gamification ecosystem about motivating desired actions through core drives, right? But then the feedback mechanics themselves, we tend to analyze what's there already. So strategy dashboard is basically for every single client. We want to know what's there right now. What can we work with? Because every client is super, super different. And then the brainstorming is kind of like you said, okay, what could it be? So strategy dashboard is what is there right now. Brainstorm is what it could be. P feature is what it should be. And then battle plan is how exactly should it be? And then wireframes is how does it look? I'd say like that's I've never worded it that way, but I guess that makes a lot of sense. So feedback mechanics, we think about what's there, right? CD1, are there kind of any kind of feedback mechanics, messages, inspiring imagery that and themes that trigger CD1, epic meaning and calling? CD2, are there right now, like, and you'll find more of these around, right? Are there ways the progress bar is moving? There's the advancement of something. CD3, is there a way for them to have some meaningful choices? So we analyze what's already there by literally kind of going through these 8 core drives. Also, when we think about rewards incentives, we also identify what's already there, right? Oh, right now you give people free stuff, but we know that gamified rewards is SAP, so status, access, power, stuff. Stuff is like kind of limiting. So are there ways for us later on what it should be, right? What should it be status or access or boosters, whatnot. So the strategy dashboard is there to help us figure out what's already there. And then you can also use the Octalysis tool to do it. And even one of my most standard literatures, like it's in my book too. I haven't talked about this in presentation lately, but because it's been a relatively old example, but the Waze example, right? But it's like, hey, this is what Waze is right now. Or at the time of analysis, which is like, I think 5 years ago, what's strong about it? And it's like, oh, it's actually weak on CD3 and CD6. And then, this is about like 5-7 minute brainstorming. Say, hey, here's like at least one idea each what it could try. So like you said, for most kind of designs or problem solving, it's a good standard thing to acknowledge what's right, what's there right now, what's doing well, what's the problem, and that's the best way to figure out where to go. I think now that I see Waze, there's always been this analogy that I've heard like 15 years ago, which is if for your navigation system to work or your GPS to work, it needs to know 2 things, right? Where your destination is at and where you're at. If it only knows where you're trying to go, but doesn't know where you're at, it cannot give you instructions, right? So you got to know where you're at. And it's important because the closer you are to where you're at right now, the easier it is to implement. If you always just saying like, yeah, let's don't even bother what's already there. Let's just imagine new things. And obviously it takes a lot of work to get there. And it's sometimes demoralizing for the team working on it. You could make the very hard decision, like, no. What we have here is crap. It's just like, you need to throw it away. We just can't use it. We just have to do something. That's a strong executive decision. But you always, as a first go, consider, okay, can we take what's already there and improve it into what it needs to be?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.